Are you ready? The Cornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Cornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Cornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you this very sad Wednesday morning, because I know there's a lot of people that are grieving on the planet presently. And we're all affected by it with the shooting that took place yesterday. I just have to speak to it because we're certainly feeling it. And so I just wanted to bring acknowledgement to that. And of course, sending our love and our prayers to all the people, all the parents, and the people that are affected by this. And it's just unbearable. It's unimaginable. It's heartbreaking. So, sending our love, sending our support, sending our prayers. Now, today we have a show for you because the topic of today's show is called uh, the humbleness and humility of getting younger. How does that sound to you? Because now it's all about shifting our mindset in how we move forward in with our evolution, how we're moving forward, how we're living, and how we're thinking about as we get older. How do we live longer, and how do we change some of those thoughts and paradigms that have kept us limited and kept us aging. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to have some fun because I brought with me a very special guest, and that's Dr. Rosie Kuhn. She is a transformational coach and the principal of the Paradigm Shifts coaching group. She's a leader and preeminent thought leader in the field of transformational coaching, coach training, and leadership development, and has been in the field of self transformation for 40 years. Dr. Rosie has authored 14 books, including Fierce Compassion, Self Empowerment 101, and Aging Like a Guru. Engaging and charming, Dr. Rosie is a popular speaker, facilitator, and blogger. She captivates audiences, often moving them to both laughter and tears. Well, that's just awesome. Welcome to our show today, Dr. Rosie.
Thank you, Cornelia.
Super awesome to have you.
Thank you.
So, you have lots of topics to talk about, everything from emotional mastery to any type of topic that has to do with bringing our physical bodies up into higher vibrational ways of living and being. And then here we are, uh, aging like a guru. Now, tell us a little bit about because you're a thought leader, so you're a change maker, and you're moving ahead in the world. You're paving the path. So tell me a little bit about how how you're getting started on this and what brings you to talk about it in this way.
It's so thank you first of all for what you're doing and what you're bringing, and I love the bringing heaven to earth because I think that's what we're all doing here, and
Mhm,
that we know that we're spiritual beings. We know that we are have a higher knowing and a higher truth,
mhm,
and then we are in these bodies that can feel dense and scary, and I don't know how to do me, and so for me, I was a family therapist and trained and all of those kinds of things. And so working in towards greater and greater degrees of realization. And the first realization among many, in a sense, was um, came from when I was working in the field of recovery, and my clients had something I didn't have, which was serenity. Here I was a therapist, and I had money in life and all of those things. I didn't have serenity, and it was like why are these people who don't even have an education and don't have a great job or maybe lost their job, how can they be in serenity and I'm not? So that was the real beginning of the exploration, that the level of discomfort, the level of anguish, the level of dread, the level of
Mm.
upset and anger and blaming and shaming, all that I was living with, even though I was a therapist, right? Therapists are supposed to have it all together. I didn't have it all together. So that was my clue that there was something greater than
Mhm.
what I was doing. And I wanted what they had. So I started opening myself up to utilizing the 12-step programs and noticing that, especially in adult children. And the adult children programs are now awesome because it's not just ACA as in adult children of alcoholics, but adult children of dysfunctional families. And so many of us come from dysfunctional families, but we don't acknowledge what that really means for us. So as I continue to kind of go, well, what does that mean? Being curious and fascinated with this thing that we are, this spiritual being in this human experience thing. It's like, how do you do that? And so I would look at and see, in a sense, I'm pulling towards, well, that person is doing that, and that's working for them. They're living a more spiritually oriented life versus a fear based life, and it's working for them. So if it could work for them, it could work for me. So I would then start to work and exercise and train myself to think in alignment with what they're saying, which would pull me onto my path to a further degree. And I would realize, in a sense, that word realization, I would realize, oh, that is where I am. And so I would get there, wherever there is. And then the next question would, well, what's next? Or what is the next? Or where is that heaven on earth element of? And I would keep seeing people who are doing it and living it and experiencing it and talking about it. Um, and I go, okay, I'm going in that direction. But I'm still having to be on my path versus I'll just get on their path because we can't do that. We're only on our own path.
Mm.
So that challenge of following somebody else's experience, but having to create our own path to get there is the challenge because we want, okay, I'll just follow so and so's rules of how to get there and it'll work for me. It doesn't. And that's the beauty of this and the scary stuff because the beauty is I'm evolving an expression, evolving and expressing my divine truth. I believe I'm the divine, and I'm God's love. I am God incarnate, and I am the expression of that divinity. And I am the only one of that expression. And so, much like what you're sharing with the world is, I got to get that, and I got to follow that expression versus I'll just be somebody else's expression. I'll just be that. And so little by little, I could do that 100 times or 1,000 times because in terms of telling you the story, but little by little, here I am. One of my latest books is called "I've Arrived." Well, sort of, because it's like, oh, here I feel enlightened. I feel like I get it. I feel like I know it. I'm in heaven on earth. Yay!
Yay.
And it's like, oh yeah, now there's the next step. Like I haven't arrived and now we're here. And that's what we believe we're going to have once we get here. It's going to be heaven and it's going to be happy and yeah. But then there's the next step, which takes us to the next trajectory of our personal growth opportunities here on the planet. So
Yeah.
that's the short version.
Yeah.
Really,
Well, that's really well explained. You talk about how, when I played the intro and I talk about being your own inner authority,
yeah,
this is what you're referring to, is that we're basically all discovering our own inner authority, and that's really our job. That we're not being saved by anyone outside of ourselves, because we're saving ourselves, because the Christ is already here. The Christ is in you, and the
that's
Christ is in you, and the Christ is in you, and that you are the one that you've been waiting for.
that's
And
right.
that's and you being such a beautiful example, such a beautiful role model of uh, God incarnate.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And what does that look like, and what responsibility, what level of responsibility does that entail. And obviously, you've gotten pretty intimate with that that level of being, that creator state of being, because you've curiously explored it, right? And
Yes.
are exploring it still.
Yeah. And the challenge is that, much like you're saying, the Christ is within me. The Christ is within you. The Christ is within the beauty and the bliss, and the Christ is in the agony and the dread and the anguish also, and the pain and the suffering and the grief and the loss. That the Christ is in all of this. God is, as we are the source. God is the source of all that is, universal source of all that is. So everything is within God. Nothing is outside of God. So that means, we think, oh, if I'm angry, I'm not in God, or that anger isn't in God. It's like, no, it's all God. And how we utilize and move through, it's just different levels of density. We'll say that anger is more dense, or guilt is very, and shame is very dense energy. And as we move up, we're moving through those processes and those elements and energies. They're just energies. And so as I move through that, I might go, wow, I'm feeling a lot of anguish or a lot of hatred towards people who are doing, right? It's like, wow, what's that doing to me? Or what's that like inside me as that hatred, as that expression of hatred through me? And how do I be with that without denying it? Like, oh no, that's not spiritual, that element, the spiritual bypass elements of that. And how do I not say, yes, I have a right to be mean and angry at people because, those are the dilemmas that are part of this human experience, and that we're watching and observing and maybe participating in. Is like, how do I be me in the love and divine expression, and make sense of my desire for wrath or retribution from a higher knowing, from this place of, this is not okay to shame and judge, and I'm right and you're wrong. It's like, we are all working from this place of wanting truly to make this a better world.
Yeah. And
And if we don't get, it's like, it's really hard to get that to go, yeah, but those people, it's like, as soon as I do that, I know I'm not in that place of true alignment with my highest principles, that we're all divine and we're all here in support of love and light in the world, even though it looks different than what our interpretations are of that.
yeah. And I wrote a book on anger and peace, the flip side to anger. And in there, I think I had a line in there that said, even God is angry, right? Because in order for us to get to our truth, I call it righteous anger, not anger that's going to not you're not going to use your anger as a divine being, as a realized being. You're not going to use your anger to harm someone or hurt someone. What you're going to do is you're going to use your anger to release the powerlessness that you're feeling inside of yourself, so that you can get to the truth of what's underneath there, because I'm going to be pissed off for a reason here.
That's right.
And right, something that has been suppressed for a long time. And so that is actually, anger can actually be a liberator, in a sense, in a sense of empowerment and creativity and moving forward. And that's what I hear you saying also,
Yeah.
so that we're not going to use our anger to pick up a gun, or to verbally bark on someone, or to pick up our fist, because anger really has to move. But if we responsibly use the anger to release feelings of powerlessness and whatever has felt as kept us trapped, then we are, alchemizing. Uh,
Beautiful. I love that you're using that word. I love it.
it's your word. Yeah, it's your word. You and I are so aligned. I mean, when I looked at your YouTube channel, let's tell everybody where to go.
My YouTube channel is Dr. Rosie Kuhn at the Paradigm Shifts. My website is theparadigmshifts.com. You can find me on Google. You can find me on Amazon with my books. You
Yeah,
can
definitely
find me
get the
podcasts.
Amazon books. Yeah.
Yes. This is the book. The latest is Aging Like a Guru. Who me? And I love that you're also talking, Cornelia, about the inner guru, because I think that that's we're making the distinction between that part that's like, I'm going to be aggressive because I'm angry. I have a right to express it and hurt, versus no, this is just an expression of the energy in the world, in a sense. And I don't have to violate. It's like, do you believe in violation of another person? No. It's like, okay, you got this anger. What are you going to do with it? I'm going to, blah, blah, blah. It's like, wait, you just said your higher principle is no violation. And now you're going to, like, so we're distinguishing, and we're each having to be with these kinds of dilemmas of how do I be with this energy. A number of years ago, this is like, I'll say 25 years ago or so, I got angry. And it was almost as if somebody had popped a balloon inside me. And this energy of anger was just present. And it was interesting. It was fascinating because I didn't have to hurt anybody. Nobody knew I was angry. I just noticed this energy, this presence of anger. And it lasted for about 3 weeks and again, it's like a balloon that got pricked. And then that energy is just present, 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 present. And whoop, it was
Yeah.
gone. And if we can see these energies of hate or anger or whatever they are as these energies that come through, if you will, or come up from, then we can be present to that. And that's including grief. Grief is such a huge un I mean, we talk about it, but in terms of that truth of the experience of grief, we ignore it and avoid it and distract ourselves from it. But when we get to these elements, we're really dealing with a deeper sense of our own personal loss of whatever that is, loss of safety or loss of love or the loss of um, power, like you're saying, the loss of a hope. And we go, yeah, no, I don't want to go there. But because we exist, that's part of the makeup of this orientation. So,
Don't you think, you knowing what you know, don't you think that grief is actually the ultimate tool to use to move into enlightenment and move into higher vibrational ways of living and being, is going through the grief because of the loss
that's
of anything that we have to feel, the loss of any of the lies, the loss of whatever the loss may be, but that grief is actually the vehicle that is going to take us there, because now we actually have to feel to heal
yeah,
the imbalance,
that's right.
right?
That's right. The part of the challenge is that um, we don't acknowledge or identify something as grief. Number one. Number two, so for instance, I was on a call this morning with my client who's 47. So she's not aging, she's just at 47. Her oldest son is graduating from high school, so he's going off to college. And that's just one of many things that she's dealing with. And she's like, how am I supposed to be a mom? What am I supposed to do with this part of me that is like, I'm losing my son in this way, but I want to be happy for him, and yet I don't want to. In all of this, like rah, 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 rah. and and most importantly, what she did, which is what most of us do, is go, yeah, I just have to write him more often or text him, and when he goes to college, I'll just call him or I'll go visit. Like we just take that sadness, hurt, loss, and we just go, yeah, no, I'll just call him more regularly or whatever. And we don't actually identify and really make room for that part of ourselves that is like, I don't know how to do me without him around. I don't know how to. I'm at a loss. And one of the things I heard and it really makes sense to me is that we don't like change because that means we have to let go of or reorient ourselves to something that, in a sense, there is a loss of what was the static. Here's how it's been, and now it's not there, and now what do I do? I don't. And I love the expression. My client said this. Another client said this. I don't know how to do me, and in that is like terror. We're terrified to do ourselves. It's just like, okay, so what's Cornelia doing? What's Cornelia saying? What's Cornelia listening to? I'll go do that because that'll make me feel better. as opposed to going, no, I got to learn how to do me. I can listen to what you're saying. I can listen to what's going on for you and go, yeah, no, that doesn't resonate with me. This resonates with me. And we become more aligned. So, but it's that challenging place of not going to, I'll just rationalize and justify. Everybody else is going through this. Why should I have a hard time? And I've heard this from this particular client many times. So she's the therapist and all that. She's like, why is it me that's feeling this when everybody else looks like they got it together? It's like, yeah, nobody has it together. We're all in this state of, because we exist, we feel these things and experience this place of, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And in the acknowledging of that, and the, if we're with a child that's learning how to walk, they don't know how to walk. We go, yeah, something wonderful is going to come through this. But right now, it feels like anguish, dread, grief, unexplainable sadness. Like, why is it this way? And this particular client is Jewish, so the whole heritage of Jewishness or the religion, but also the persecutions and the Israeli, all of it is right here in her face. I don't know how to do me without all that. And I think your work is exploring this place of, if I let go of this identity of who I think I am and how I'm supposed to be, I don't have anything to replace it. I don't know who I am. And little by little, when we do that, we get to the place of, oh, I am the divine. I am, this expression of the essential natures of everything.
Yeah,
And
and isn't that the reason why, I mean, we came here to remember who it is that we are,
mm,
and we came here to now live and be everything that we are because we have lived and been everything that we're not.
that's right.
Right? And it's like now, it's like this is such a joy. What will we do with all this consciousness? What will we do with all this love and compassion? What will we do with all of this aging like a guru? Because now, this is what we're talking about, you and I. You're going to love me saying that, I'm starting this club called the 100 Plus Club because
Uh-huh.
I want to encourage us, and you're doing this also with your book, that we can override and we can live well into our hundreds, living a healthy life and thriving once we've healed the emotional traumas of our past and stopped storing the emotional core wounding in our physical bodies, which
Right.
is aging and declining and disease.
Yeah.
But once we heal all of those, then we can really live longer. And what are we going to do with our energy when we have healed the wounds of the past and when we are living longer? So there was just one woman in Japan. She lived to be 119 years old, centenarian, and she was healthy. So this is what we're talking about. We're living longer now. We don't have to die to go to heaven because heaven, the heavenly consciousness, you can hold it. I can hold it. I can experience it in many, many moments, right?
Yeah.
And the earth is already here. And so, what are we going to do when we, again, like you said, aging like a guru? What are we going to do with our consciousness and with how we want to live out this next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of our lives?
That's a great question. Um, the more that I do my work, and I do this because it's like whatever that means for me, whatever it means for every single one who's of your audience or people in the world, it's like 99% when I say, what's your vision of your life? People want to be helpful. People want to be in love in the big L love. They want to just support a healing of the planet, all of those things. It's okay, great, great. All we need to do is stop doing what doesn't work. Okay. So as I stop doing what doesn't work, I have more expression naturally, organically of love, of gratitude, of generosity, of bliss and joy. Okay. That's coming organically from letting go of what doesn't work. What else comes is as I reach those pinnacles of like, oh my God, I am able to send love to the people that are creating the worst of the worst, but I'm able to love them It's like, woohoo! Again, I've arrived. Oh, I don't have the arrived book. I have this one. But I've arrived, right? The next day, I plummet into this place that is, in a sense, the opposite of that. Like, wow, I was up there, and now I'm in this place of experiencing the grief of all the parts of my life where I've felt unsafe. This is just recent, like very recent. It's like I go from feeling safe and not even needing to consider safety, just being in the grace. And then I plummet back into this place of looking at, and I just turned 70. So part of it is like that life letting go of, but feeling the degree to which my life has been spent in a state of unsafeness
Mm.
and the grieving of all of my life and the way the choices that I've made because I believed I was unsafe. And because everything pointed to that, or the way my orientation was and the way I perceived the world, that I was unsafe. So, or that men are, I'm unsafe with men. And so my projections all gave me that orientation. So I lived my life that way. So rather than for 70 years experiencing the fullness of the capacity of being loved and loved, and receiving that in all the abundance of what you're saying, love and the abundance of prosperity, the abundance of health, the abundance of friendship and love. I had I had cut that all off. So the point is that I am in this state of grieving all of that I had been through from that perspective. It's required that we allow that to happen so we can just go, "Oh my God, what was I thinking?" And, "Oh, poor me," that part that believed that was true and
Right.
came to this place of realization that, yeah, that's how I thought it was. And so that there's the upsides of enlightenment. Yeah. And then there's the plummeting back into those states that need to be released so that I'm not living from unsafeness. I'm working at it still. There's always these levels that we're eternal beings, right? And we think we just got to fix it all this time. We're going to heal it all this lifetime. But we're working at these levels, and I get to this level, and I go, yeah, I'm I've arrived. And then it's like, oh yeah, no, not really.
Yes, and there's another layer. I mean, we have to remember, I love everything you said. We have to remember that, what we're doing now, this amazing love that we're remembering for ourselves
Mhm.
and how we perceive ourselves and how we think about ourselves and how we love ourselves, the extension of love that you give to yourself, then you can give it to other people because we've always left ourselves out of the equation before because putting everyone else before us instead of including us in the love in the relationship, and that if you really know that you are the divine and that you are God incarnate, then how do you treat God and how do you love God? Because how do you love yourself? How do you treat yourself, right? And how are you living and acting out that relationship,
Yeah.
especially when the shadow is present?
The what you said is really interesting because we focus on the other person and loving and taking care of primarily from a survival mechanism place because we're afraid. I mean, we have this instinctive desire to love and do nice things and be kind, but generally most of our doing for others, that doing is we're doing it to get something, get security, stability, safety. Okay. So whenever I'm about to do, say, or be something in service to getting something, I know I'm not in alignment with my highest truth, my highest knowing, that I'm okay. I'm good, but as soon as we're living from, I'm afraid if I take care of myself, people are going to say I'm selfish. If I do something nice for myself, that means whatever we make it mean, that's a fear-based perspective. And so part of this work of enlightening and this lightening ourselves up is letting go of those beliefs that we were trained to think of and live in fear. Like 85% of our life, 80%, these are research numbers, 80% of our world, our thinking world, is negative in nature. So 80% of your day is spent thinking negative things, generally speaking. Think
Yeah, and isn't that interesting that, that our subconscious mind, we thought we were born in love and that we had the consciousness of love, but it's actually the opposite. We were born in the negative programming, in the negative subconscious, right? And we now had to turn that around and make the negative positive, make the negative the truth, which is you are love. But for my own journey, my own work, my own inner work that I've done, I had self-hatred at my core. I
totally.
hated myself. I was really shocked when I discovered that core wound
Yeah,
and how awful it was,
yeah,
but that I hated myself. And so I had to work with that energy to transcend that self-hate and bring it into divine love. And once that takes place, you never go back.
that's right. That's right. And that ability to go, "Oh my god, I have been hating myself because I have not been what I thought I needed to be." And that's like, "Wow." And we go and because we hear it from everybody else, like, "Oh, no, I love you and you're wonderful." It's like, "Yeah, no, not really." Um,
Yeah,
that part that's like, "Oh, man." And I mean, in terms of self-compassion, right? And it's not like you can turn it around immediately, but you become aware and conscious of, "Wow, I have been hating myself and beating myself up with self-judgments all the time. Like, look at the wrinkles, or look at the gray hair, or look at the flabby, or look at the whatever it is for lifetime," and go, "Wow, that has been so unkind."
I'm kind.
When we hear that for ourselves finally, and it's not like you go like in a transcendent transformational moment, like, oh no, I don't do that anymore. I now really love myself, and aren't I great for myself? It's like, no, it's this like, this expansion and this working through and growing those capacities and the courage and strength it takes to be present to ourselves, and that's part of the spiritual elements of our world, consensus reality, that kind of makes me upset because it's like, oh, I just think the right things and life is going to be fine, and I can't be angry at myself, and I can't hate myself. And you can see this exaggerated whatever, but all of that is just not allowing ourselves to truly embrace what that part of us that felt like she had to hate ourselves herself, like what she had been enduring for perhaps lifetimes, right?
Well, when I wrote the book, Peace, the Flip Side to Anger,
Mhm.
when I would, especially in the spiritual community, uh, where people would say to me, "Oh," I published that book in 2015, and people would say to me, "Oh, I don't have any anger. I'm fine. I don't have any anger. That's maybe that book is for my friend or my son, or you could help my husband, or you could help my neighbor. That book is not for me because I've already been doing that. I mean, it's so interesting, especially the spiritual community, because they have always been made to believe that anger is wrong or bad, not realizing that anger is a natural part of our humanity. And actually, anger is the way to your gold as long as you don't harm yourself or harm someone else. But having righteous anger, that fire, that, burning away that dross, whatever is there that isn't the truth. Underneath that anger, there
That
is a liberation that is waiting to be felt and released.
that's right.
And that is all part of that. And I really find that anger is a fabulous tool towards
Absolutely.
enlightenment.
One of the, it and I'll just say it rather than try to justify what I was gonna say, is, in the, 12-step community, it says, in a sense, it's just not quoted, uh, our addictions come from, restless, irritable discontent. So
Mm.
whenever we feel restless, irritable, discontent, and we don't know what to do with it, it's like, I don't know how to make this go away, then we might eat, we might drink, we might go have sex, we might do pornography, we might go buy something to lower that restless, irritable discontent. So my question was, and this is part of what you're bringing in about anger is, what's the source of that restless, irritable discontent? Or so if you're feeling, I'm feeling pissed off or angry, and there's like, I shouldn't feel that way, I'm not, but it's like, what's the source of that anger? What is the source of it? And people go, well, they hurt me, or she did, or I, and it's like, yeah, stop for a second and let's just really truly answer that question. What's the source of that anger? And it's like, quite often it's, I was betrayed, or I'm powerless,
Yeah.
or hopeless.
Yeah.
The rage, like you're talking about, the, the energy that comes from that, but being able to articulate for our own self, what is the source of that within me? So I'm not just playing um, in that back and forth, middle of the night kind of conversations where you're going, yeah, sort of that adversarial conflict that we're having in our heads with somebody, and it's like, wait, stop. What is this? What is the what am I doing here? What am I trying to get at here? It's like, well, I'm really angry. It's like, okay, great. What's the source of that anger? Rather than, well, he said and she said, it's like, well, what's the source within yourself? I feel unheard. I feel unseen. I feel invisible. I feel isolated. Whatever
And
that
can
is.
you imagine that is actually the reason for the anger, because the being has never been heard before in that
That's
way. And
exactly.
that's why you're angry. The being has never been seen before. The being has never been honored before. The being has never been invited before to be honored and respected and seen. So the being is upset. Upset.
Absolutely.
I'm pissed off because I've held this in for so long, and now I need to release it.
That's right.
I was saying to a client just recently, when she was talking about how she was holding some energy in, and not really having a healthy expression of anger. And I invited her, don't store it in your body, because you can create an issue in the organs, or this or that, right? Something could formulate, because anger is a hot coal.
Yeah, yeah.
It could really do some damage there, because it's happened to me. And so I invited her to either get a bat or get a hammer, and I'm just really just beat that rock, and just get it out. And then you're going to feel so liberated when it's out. And that's really it.
Yeah. Yeah. Allowing the expression and even the articulation of it is like, I'm angry. It's like, good to know.
Good to
As
know.
opposed to where, it's like the justification of, I don't need to be angry. What, my son's going off to college just like everybody else is. Why would I be? That justification for it, as opposed to, and the wonderful thing about this particular session with this particular client I was talking about is she's had stomach issues for years.
Mm.
And so when she's saying, I'm feeling this grief deep in my stomach, it's like, oh my God, I'm so happy to hear that, because now she has the the opening to begin to release that and heal that if she so chooses.
Yeah, if she chooses to, she again, we're all invited to become our own conduits, and of course, with the support of people like you, people like myself, people that have done the work or are doing the work to facilitate. But in the end, it's really you making the choice and coming down to the your own abilities, and what it is that your choices are for your life.
And the
So
other the
yeah,
other I think is really important, Cornelia, is that we are saying we're angry because they're not listening to us.
it's a good one.
They're not doing this to me. They're not giving me this. And it's like, are you listening to yourself? Are you hearing yourself? Are you embracing that part that's so angry at you, at like me, so angry at me because I haven't been listening to her. I've been listening to that guy I want to go out on a date with. I'm listening to, how to make more money. I'm listening for how to get more clients. I'm not listening here.
Yeah,
And so when I can stop that and go, okay, she's upset. I need it, just like with, we call it the inner child, but just like we would with a child or a good friend or our sister or brother or mother, is we stop and we take time and go, "What's up?" And it's,
Yeah.
"No, she doesn't listen to me." It's like, "She doesn't listen." It's like, just take the time and truly be present and start to create that relationship of listening as opposed to go, "Yeah, that doesn't work for me."
Yeah,
And
but isn't that interesting when you said she doesn't listen to me, you're projecting that out saying, "Oh, she doesn't listen to me." Basically, so you could hear yourself, but then turn that around back, "I don't listen to me."
I don't listen to me. I don't listen to me. And and I think that was part of and is part of the grieving I'm going through is all the decades that I didn't and couldn't listen to myself because I was so programmed to take care of other people because I was afraid that who would want me? Who would want me, truly?
Yeah,
Um, and like with you and saying that, that's this hate. It's like I hate myself because no, who would want me? And it's like
right.
it's just a truth until we begin to explore that and go, that's that place where I saw the serenity in people who are in recovery. They were able to move beyond what I was still enmeshed in. And so, people listen to you because they want to hear this over and over again. I'm not alone in this. I'm not crazy in this. You know, I'm okay because Cornelia's got this whole show about this, and people are talking about this, and there's books written about it. I'm okay in this, and
Yeah,
it's still scary.
yeah,
And this client who's a therapist and all this stuff, and rational justifying and all that stuff, it is still as scary as hell, literally, to
it
go
is.
in and go, "Wow, this sucks," to that my son is leaving, and I don't know how to be me in this
Yeah.
because we
Yeah,
don't.
and even, it when you said this sucks, it sucks when you become triggered by, someone that triggers you to get pissed off when whether it's an event or a person, and you get triggered, and it sucks. And most of the time, if you get triggered by a person, it's going to be somebody that is close to you, and that is really a beautiful mirror because now you get to look at what does this really mean, what is this person really showing me, and what is this really about for me,
That's
right?
and quite often when we get triggered, and I've done this, everything I'm talking about, what other people, it's like I've gone through it all. It's like, you are triggering me. You are the bad person. You are doing this to me, right? The when
You
I
are
was
making me not feel safe.
That's
It's your fault.
your fault. So whether it's the world, the economy, the government, the environment, you just name it. It's like it's their fault I'm not at peace, right? It's their fault I got triggered. And it's like, no, your triggers yeah, I hate this languaging. I really do. But those triggers are moments, I call them, you get ignited into going, oh yeah, that's unfinished business for me. Oh yeah, that's a thing that I haven't worked on yet. Oh yeah, that's where I'm still stuck in I deserve, you know. When my daughter, I want a better relationship with her, and it's like you're not giving me, it's all that stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to going, okay, stop. This is not about her. This is about how you are being inside this. Yeah, but stop. Yeah, but stop, stop, and be present to that way that I am hearing and listening within myself that creates something other than peace and serenity.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
stop. And it's like this is training. Yoda says, and it's one of my favorite sayings, is Yoda says, train yourself to let go of what you're afraid to lose.
That's so good.
And I know. And it's exactly what I've had to use time and time and time and time and time again to go, what am I afraid to lose here? Well, I want to. It's like, what are you afraid to lose here? And it's taken me to the most exquisite truths, which then I go, that's why my daughter is the way she is with me because I got this stuff that I wouldn't even look at because it's like I want her to be wrong, I want her to do it right, and then I get to keep my righteousness,
Right, right.
and
Yeah.
I like my righteousness.
Mhm.
We all like our righteousness.
Yeah.
That's 99% of what we're seeing in the world is, I have a right to this, and I'm fighting for the rights of that. And it's like, yeah, no, no, this is kind of true. And where's that coming from? What's the source of that within ourselves? When I have my righteousness, I feel like I got my identity. I got this thing here. Without my righteousness, who am I? I'm vulnerable and raw. But it's like, yeah, what's beyond that? It's like, oh, that place of nothingness, the void. What's beyond that? Oh, God. It's
There
so
you are. There you are,
fun.
right?
And I've done this with clients over and over. They go, and I go, well, what's under that? What's under that? What's under that? Oh, what's under that? Wow, I'm in peace. How did
Mhm.
that happen? And it seems like magic, but I go, how did that happen? They go, I let go of my righteousness
That's good.
or
So
whatever.
good. Yeah,
Time and time again, if we just undo it, we can go, I'm still in trying. We have a need to try to control the outcome, right?
right.
So I want to be right about whatever I want the outcome to be. And every 100% of the people on the planet want the same thing, even though it looks different. They want they want the same thing.
Yeah. So this is how we're aging like gurus and getting younger as we get older. So what is it that you want people to do? You want people to go over to Amazon and get your you've got a few books, but I always like to give a clear call to action. So what would you like them to do?
So two things. One, if they go to my website, theparadigmshifts.com, there's hundreds of blogs about just about everything, especially what we're talking about. They can see the books. I have artwork, acrylic paintings that I've done. They can see that. They can source into it's one place to have the portals to all of those other places. So going to the website, theparadigmshifts.com, that's a good place to start. And then from there, you can get to Amazon and the rest of it, YouTube. One of the things I have, which might be really useful to people, I'm looking at you again instead of the camera. Uh, One of the things that's really useful is on YouTube, I have what's called Inward Bound Boot Camp for Self Transformation.
I saw that.
And it's really it's 20 videos, like about 10 minutes each, so no biggie. And there's a workbook now that's available. um, and but it's this process of how do you start, in a sense, as the caterpillar, going into the chrysalis and going into transformation. So it's that process. It's a boot camp to self transformation. It's exactly what we've been talking about, but at a pretty elementary level. So it's an entry level program that's free, and you can do it at your own pace. It's all there, and it's a great tool. And you can go as deep as you want, as much as you want, and not do any of it, whatever that is that you want. So that's a really, really good source.
Yeah.
And people want to contact me for either transformational coaching or training to be a coach with me. They can contact me again through my website, but it's Rosie at theparadigmshifts.com. So
Yeah.
those are all good contacts.
Yeah, Rosie, Dr. Rosie, I'm so glad that I met you. I want to thank you so much for doing this work and for being an enlightened person like you are, knowing the truth of who you are, because that is what I'm feeling from you. And then, of course, everything that you've shared with your wisdom, that it takes it because we know this work isn't easy to be in that light, to stand in that light and also stand strong in that leadership, because that requires a lot of fierceness to stand in it, because you had to cut away all the lies and all the untruths. And boy, I can relate. So I just want to honor you so much for doing that work and for shining that light the way that you are.
Thank you. And I
Yeah.
think I just wanna say too, it's not done. I'm not, like, enlightened and, "Oh, boy, here I am." I'm where I am in terms of my trajectory. I'm somewhere along the path,
Yeah.
but I'm not there. I'm not an enlightened being. We're all enlightened beings. This is a huge thing, is we're already enlightened, right, Cornelia? We're
Yeah.
all sitting in heaven.
We're
We
already we are in light.
That's
We
right.
are light.
We are in light, and we are wise beyond our knowing. When I'm working with my clients, I know we're going over time, but when I'm working with my clients, I'm working with the knowing that says, you know the answers here. And when I focus on the knowing that's already within the person, the conversation is extraordinary, and so much more happens more quickly. So that's really good. But that state of enlightenment is only I'm somewhere along the path. I'm not at the end by any means because we're eternal beings having this eternal experience. So I just wanted to say that it's like I'm not some guru because I'm not a guru, but I
No, we're we're still in the process. So we're still in the process of becoming, right?
that's
And really, enlightenment is a destructive process. It's it's not that it's so pretty and it's all la 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 la. It's not like that at all. It is like, oh my God, let's get it. It's messy. It's fire.
that's
It's rage. It's all of those things. And then we can come, and once we acknowledge that fire and all of that, then we can bring it into grace. We can bring into the higher wisdom. We can bring heaven right here. And
yes.
there it is, right here.
Yep.
So I
Thank
definitely want to have you back. I definitely want to talk to you again. So can we plan that for the future?
Absolutely. I would love it. Thank you so much.
So great. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in. And Dr. Rosie, what's your website again, or where do you want people to go? Theparadigmshift.com?
Paradigm shifts with the S. And you can Google Dr. Rosie Kuhn. It's going to take you to the paradigm shifts.
Yeah, and go to our YouTube channel. That's what I did. I checked it out. Awesome videos over there, awesome content. Go do that transformational journey. Everything to help us become better at who we are becoming. And that's really what it is. A flower petal blooming,
That's right.
right?
Fullest
Yeah,
expression of our divine self.
yeah. Okay. All
Thank
right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again next time. Take good care.
you. Bye bye.